Hey, Kansas City business owners making $100,000 or more per year. This message is for you. You work hard, but let's be real. Your finances, they might be a challenge. You're spending hours drowning in receipts, guessing what to enter in QuickBooks, and stressing out over taxes. And here's the scary part. If your numbers are wrong, you could end up paying way more in taxes this year, or even worse, getting hit with fines from the IRS. But you don't have to keep doing this alone. Silverstone Bookkeeping has over 16 years of experience and has helped over 50 businesses clean up their books and avoid costly mistakes. They know how to fix the mess fast so you can focus on growing your business. Right now, Silverstone Bookkeeping is offering a free 15-minute review of your finances in QuickBooks, where they'll review your setup, identify issues, and help you keep more of your hard-earned money. That's a $150 value, free for the first 5 listeners of Kansas City Business Cast. You heard me right. Silverstone Bookkeeping, with their 16 years of bookkeeping experience, is providing a special offer to check your QuickBooks setup and ensure everything is in order for 2025. If your business is making $100,000 or more per year, do not wait. Call Silverstone Bookkeeping at area code 913-732-4151 or visit silverstonebookkeeping.com to book your free audit today. You grow your business, let Silverstone Bookkeeping handle the tedious financial tasks.
You make sure I'm feeling
fresh.
My height in the chairs, and that's just it. I was thinking about this, like, I'm setting all this up and I'm like, shoot, well, from what I do, like my setup doesn't look super cool. Like, it's just in my basement.
I think it's a great, it's a great background, bro. In fact, it's a different vibe.
Well, good.
I love it's a good day to have a good day, or it's a good day for a good day. Hey everybody, welcome to Kansas City Business Cast. I'm just chopping it up with my boy Phil McDowell here. Loyal listeners, folks that have been with the show since forever, will know that Phil was on episode number 10, back when we were recording in-person, audio only, over at Kingdom Studios. And Phil, I'm just so glad to have you back on the show, man. I've been geeking ever since you said, hey man, I'd love to come back on the show.
Yeah,
so good, dude.
No, I'm super excited, man. Thanks so much. This is awesome. I'm so pumped. You know, it's funny you say like, I know the show back then didn't have video, it was just all audio. But I don't know if you remember, I have video of that entire show.
Yeah, at some point.
It didn't go anywhere.
At some point, I got to get that from you. We got to chop it up, put it through one of the AI platforms or whatever, make some sick reels.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
Sure.
So, I mean, obviously, you have been involved with this podcast in one way or another since the beginning. Like, I had reached out to you before we launched. Like, you were part of our launch team. You know, we got it scheduled, I think, in like December of 2023. And then we released it. Actually, it's crazy because today is the day before the 1-year anniversary of episode 10. I shot you a screenshot today of the thing from Spotify, you know, Armor for the Content Battleground with Phil McDowell. And I just get the chills about this stuff, dude, about how, honestly, like, for people that listen to the show and follow along, like, I made it very clear when your episode went out. I mean, we did like 6 reels. I did an announcement the day it dropped. I was telling everybody, like, hey guys, this is one of my people, one of the people in my, board of advisors, my trusted advisor tribe. And I don't think, of course they don't know. The listeners don't know how many times you've helped pull me out of a rut, man. Mentally, we've had, lots of calls. I mean, pretty much every week for the last year. I mean, we've taken a couple of major life events off, like, me starting my full-time job, you moving a couple kids out. the holidays. Like there has been so many updates, but just to kind of like reorient, like since we talked last, I was fortunate enough to have Armor Marketing handle, my social media presence. We did some video for anybody who follows Vocati Ad Servidium or VAS. Those videos, the setup, the questions, the content. Phil and his team were all a part of that. And then I would say hopefully you were fortunate to have VAS come on board and kind of talk through some processes and grow things with you. And so
100%.
Just the ultimate picture of practicing what we preach. And so yeah, man, I
100%.
just kind of wanted to set the stage of like where we've been since we last talked on a show.
Yeah. First of all, I can't believe it's a year. I can't believe that's crazy. Like this last year has like just flown by. And I don't know, that's maybe just a sign of my age, right? When you get older, it's like time just perpetually speeds up. But yeah, man, I mean, just being able to create some of that content for you for VAS was so much fun. And yes, the insight that you've been able to give Armor Marketing, myself, let's just go for myself personally, and just being able to bounce things off of you presenting me with ideas to change the way I think, like it really has helped get us to where we are. Let's just say, even if it's 6-8 months later, whatever, those conversations and those kind of thought pillars that you've presented to me that we've talked out and bounced off each other. And like, I couldn't have asked for anything more. Like, it's what I needed at the time. And it has certainly propelled us to what we're doing right now. So yeah, man, it's been awesome. I appreciate it.
That, dude. Yeah, we've had a lot of really good conversations, whether it was over a meal, or talking on the phone. Most of the time in my backyard, I give you a call, you'd be at the studio or you'd be on a call.
Right.
And, I think, people are going to think this sounds like it's hype and just pumping it up, but I truly believe like what you and I have as, not only brothers in Christ and as friends, but as fellow business owners and people who have different strengths that complement each other. I mean, I truly believe like this is what God intended for believers who are business owners. When, the Bible speaks about iron sharpening iron, that is exactly what I have gained, from getting to know you.
Yeah.
And, it's funny too, because like when your episode went out, number 10, I think I told you like at that time, and probably still today, I think there's people that still remember things you said on that episode. I'm at my fireside with my buddies and, Rob Wegner, who, eventually came on the show, and he co-wrote the Starfish in the Spirit with Lance Ford and all of them. Him and I talked about you and things that you had said. And I just feel like, when we're talking about target condition community, target condition tribe in Kansas City, we know business owners shouldn't be doing life alone. But when you have the Holy Spirit with you and you've got, that common ground, it's like we're kind of unstoppable,
Right. Yeah. I don't know what individuals do that don't have the assistance of the Holy Spirit with them as they are. I mean, let alone business. I mean, forget that. I mean, just life in general. I don't, I know for some people that probably sounds a little spooky or whatever, but I don't know. I rely on the Holy Spirit so much for my day in and day out, my connections with people, my making decisions, it's just, I don't know. It's good to have that connection. And I appreciate that,
man. So maybe you could kind of just give us an update on, everything that's going on in your world, dude. So, we've talked about some stuff. I mean, I literally get the hair standing up on my arms when I think about, some of the things that have breakthroughs for Armor. Right. And so maybe you could kind of, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. And then we can kind of just keep riffing today, man.
Yeah, dude, I love it. No, and I think, me, like I'm an open book. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll share whatever. And I think because a lot of that stems from just through, as I've come, up through the business ranks, as it were, the people that have allowed themselves to be open to me and to the success of Armor Marketing to where we are now, that has been so paramount for us. Like, I don't know how I can like not share.
Absolutely.
Did I say that right? Like, it just, yeah, I just want to be an open book. So, I mean, let's see. So from where we were last year, this year has been, it's been incredible. We went from, man, at the time, I don't remember back in January how many people were on a team. There might have been 4 of us, I think, 5 at the most. So into the summer, we got up to where there were 10 of us. That's videographers, editors, graphic designers, photographers. Of course, Marie, she's still with us, and she's so awesome. Addison's our account manager. She is kicking it, which is awesome. So which is my daughter. She's getting ready to graduate college this coming May. She will graduate with her strategic media degree. So we hope that we get to keep her on staff here. But who knows, man? When it's your daughter, she might want to go do something else, and that's fine too. But boy, she's so good. And I'll get to this in just a second. Just to be real, like when we got into the end of the summer, coming into the winter, we know historically, and with Armor Marketing, I had a business before this, Film Creative. We just knew that historically in the winter months, things started to slow down a little bit. I also needed to upgrade some equipment. There were just some things that had to happen. And with where we were, I had to pump the brakes on a few things. And so even with some of our contractors, I had to be like, hey guys, this isn't goodbye, but I need you to just know we got to pause some things for a moment. We, stay in contact, but you probably won't hear from us for actual work until the beginning of the year, January, maybe even February. And so what happened was then I went back to the beginning, so where I was doing all of the content creation, which is hard because at that point, boy, that put all the hats back on me almost, from content creation to ideation to sales to, you name it. And so we have just gotten through that, which was awesome. But in that time frame, one of my buddies that he was in my wedding. And I've been married 22 years.
Congratulations, by the way.
I've known him thanks, man. Appreciate that. I've known him for 25 years. I don't know. I was 19, I think, when I met him, 18 or 19. 9 days, I'll be 46. So
more than half your life you've known this dude.
More than half my life I've known this dude. And he's been in roles where he has been business development, he's been sales, he's put together teams, he's all kinds of stuff. Well, he had a transition that came up a couple months ago. And this guy he also went to high school with my wife. So I've known him for a long, long time. So I saw some of his communication and I was thinking, man, I might just reach out to him just to see what's going on. Well, a day later, my wife goes, hey, you need to reach out to him and see what he's doing. So my idea and thought was, well, maybe somebody can come on and help me with some sales, while he's through his transition, this, that, and the other. Talked to him. We talked all through December, and this past Monday, he came on as basically our VP of business strategy, and he's doing sales. I'm telling you, this guy's mind is unbelievable. He's kicking my ass right now, but it's awesome. It's great.
Let's go.
So, we did some things in that beginning time, and I think the reason, this is why I share this, because especially with what I do, being on social media all the time, everybody's posting their best. Hey, we did this. Look where we were. Look who we met with. Look who we shot with. Look who da. Everything's always the best. You don't hardly see, you know what? Things they could be better right now. So I share that to say, for people that are entrepreneurs that maybe they were in, a line of business for a long time and they've jumped over and they're doing something else now. There are times you got to do what you got to do so you can get to where you want to be. And so that's what we did in Armor Marketing. And I think because of that, again, and this is all walking it out with the Holy Spirit, he's allowed other things to happen. And I think connecting with Joe is one of those things, or maybe I should say reconnecting. Not that we were always connected, but in this capacity,
connection for sure.
So, right, 100%. We've been friends forever, but it's never been. I would have never thought prior to this year that we'd ever be in business together, especially because of what he did this is kind of a new thing for him, but the mindset behind it is really incredible. So I say all that to go, okay, we did the necessary things we had to do to make adjustments then, but now with what we're projecting for 2025, dude, I hope I get to do this in another year, and armor marketing is unrecognizable from this point, because it is. I cannot wait for 2025 to play out. So, yeah, I mean, those are probably the biggest changes as of right now, the biggest changes. And those all kind of perpetuated or kind of came together in the last, I don't know, last 2, maybe 3 months of the year. Other than that, it was all, we were just kind of just doing the same thing. But man, here we go. 25 is going to be a whole nother ride.
I have literally walked with you every step of the way in the last year. And what blows me away is, first off, I'm like, okay, you and I, we haven't had our weekly calls, business calls for the last couple weeks. And, when you're telling me that Joe started just this week, I remember when, that was kind of stirring up, and it was like, hey, this is what we're praying about, And every time I talk to you, something massive has happened. Even if it's like a little thing, it's like huge, And I remember we hadn't seen each other or talked for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I had a bunch of work conflicts. I was traveling for like, the recruitment season. And then I got together with you. I think it was Thai Place we went to. And you were like,
oh yeah,
you just like blew it all out there. I was like, bro, damn, for real? That happened. Wait a minute. That's how the new computer came. That's how quick you're able to edit video now. Cause it was so stressful, dude. It was so stressful when you had to start wearing all those hats. Cause it's like, shit, I'm doing it's like, it's all me now and it's on me. And you were talking about, we talked about just the natural bottlenecks that come to every business owner when you're in this like batten down the hatches phase. And I will never forget that, man, just to call that out. Like when you got your new machine and it was like, it was just this huge blessing from God. And then when you were talking about, I mean, what was it? The one type of video you were trying to render it was taking like 6 hours to render or something. And then how quick was it with the new machine? It was.
It literally went from probably a 2-hour render to probably 3 minutes. It just tells you how old the equipment was, the upgrade I needed to do. But yeah, amazing. But the way that happened and the way we were able to get that equipment, it was totally a God thing and so awesome. Wild, man. So
keep it up. Yeah.
Here's another one. I mean, since we've missed our calls, I don't think I've told you this. So one of our kind of, I would say, our big clients that we've been with now for over a year, we got invited to the Christmas party again this year. And I'm talking with the marketing director, just, how things are going. We've been working hand in hand with the CEO for the last 6 months, which has been awesome. And so he was just sharing some things with me, because the company that is our client, actually, the CEO and his partner, they sold to a bigger company. So they got bought out. So when that happens, you're
what's
like,
going to happen?
Yeah, anything can happen next. And so at the beginning, he's like, hey, everybody hang tight. Nothing's changing for the foreseeable future. Well, then another one of my buddies who owns a company that was doing work with them, he texted me one day. He was like, hey, do you know what's going on? They just told us they're not using our services anymore. And I was like, oh no, like all this, these wheels start turning. Well, a couple of weeks later, the marketing director reaches out. He's like, hey, just want you to know, nothing, you guys aren't going anywhere. Just hang tight. So for one, that was like reassuring, but at the same time, it was like, wait a minute. You already said that, like, so there was a question. Anyway, I say all that to say, so we're at the Christmas party, and he's saying, hey, man, just want to let you know, our CEO he loves you guys. He's loved working with you all. Things are going great. I know this company's come in, kind of taken over and stuff, but there were a couple things when they came in that I said, absolutely. So his assistant, he's like, can't do anything with her. She has to stay, and you cannot touch my armor marketing. So all of the other vendors got cut except for us. We stayed on, and we're still blowing and going content and like this next month on what we have on the docket to film for it's such a God thing. Like there's nothing I could have done to prevent that or not prevent that, just be who we are. And because of that, I mean, I don't know. It was just that in that moment, I was just blown away. Like what in the, because there were like 7 other vendors and we're the only ones that are still
Dude, I'm so blown away right now by that. The first thing that I'm getting hit with is like your name, armor, protected. But I also know, too, and I fully respect, like, when you say, there's nothing I could have done to prevent that, like, it's all God. I agree with that. But I also have this unfair advantage in knowing you so well and so deeply, and how you respond to challenge, and how you responded to all challenges. Again, like confidentiality, like we're not going to talk about clients or anything like that. But every challenge that you've had in the last year that we've talked about and we've brainstormed about, or gosh, I don't have an answer, I'm going to have to be praying about that for you. It has been the way that you respond to challenge with open arms. I feel like this is just me just speaking. I've been an observer, and I told you to, like, when I had to cut back on my services, VAS for armor, and I said, I think it was 2 months ago, I said, I just want to be there. I want to be with you. I want to keep helping you however I can, or just listening or whatever it is, because I see what the future looks like. Like I can see it so clearly, even though I don't know the exact details, of course. Obviously, I don't want to sound like I'm claiming to be some prophet or I have a crystal ball. But the reason why I have such faith in, your business and your people, and like, Kristen, your wife, and how you both partner and kind of make decisions in the business, is because I know great people of God when I see them. And the way that you've responded, it's even if it wasn't your first response, like even if your first response was anger, or it was like, damn it, or it was rage, or it was, sadness, or like shitness, or whatever it is, like the way you always,
it's been all those at
the
some
way
time
you
or another.
always chose to respond is, here's what I'm going to do, because this is the character that I'm called to. Like, this is what the Bible says about that. I mean, we've talked about it, like God's spoken to you through dreams, through other conversations. And just, that is why I'm not surprised in a way that Armor, kind of survived that acquisition period, because I know that when the times get tough, like, you rely on God, and obviously, like, people see that, I'm sure many times too. I know, like, and I've worked with clients, and I've been in different businesses and leadership positions, and then reported to leaders, and done, quote, managing up, where I've had leaders confide in me, Michael, I don't know what to do next. Right. And I know that people will often, when they make changes to vendor services, they anticipate and they build a mental model in their mind how those people are going to take that news. And I think that's why, you have such strong partnerships with Armor, is because anytime you've had a disagreement with a client, or a client has said, we need more from you, or we need something different, yours is, okay, help. Your response is, help me understand. How can we be better partners? And so it's just, I think, number one, that's awesome. Praise God that happened. Number two, I always think about the people who get cut in those situations too. And hopefully that, the other vendors, like, they learned what they needed to learn from the situation, and, they can identify other target clients, obviously. But geez, dude, I missed a lot.
It's really cool. I mean, look, and it's not all like, rainbows, unicorns, roses, and whatever. Like, and just to let you in a little bit, again, without naming names, we had a client that we've been working with for the last 6 months, that it just got to one of those places where about 4 months in, you were like, I'm not sure if they're really a good fit for us. Right. So, and then start thinking about, okay, I've got to have this conversation. I don't want to have this conversation. This conversation could change a relationship. I don't want to. And just through all of that and thinking through it and just asking the Lord what to do about it, we got to, like, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks before the end of the contract, and they reached out and they're like, hey, we're going a different direction. And I was like, oh, well, the Lord answered that prayer. So it's not everything is just, oh, well, it's just all awesome and we're just growing and it's just better and better and better. Like, no, we experience things that other businesses experience. But, going back to why we're called armor marketing, Ephesians 6:14-17, the full armor of God. But in there, it says that, we put on this armor so then the day of evil, we can stand firm. And so that's what we try to do is no matter what comes at us or how it hits us, like we know what our mission is. We know I know what God's called me to do in this. And so, yeah, it may suck, but we still got to stand firm and keep pushing forward until God says do something different. And so right now, that's where we are. That's what we're doing. And that's who we are. So, we're standing firm. We're plowing ahead. And we hopefully put on the armor every single day. And that's the thing. And I think I said this last time, maybe it was a little more cryptic last time. I don't know, but that's kind of the thing is like with armor marketing, we all know that marketing and getting your business out there in front of the world is a tough thing. And everybody's jockeying for position. So we hope that we get to come along to your business and go, we're going to provide the armor for your business because we know it's hard. We know it's tough. We want to see businesses in our community succeed. So how can we help you succeed so that we all succeed? So it's a tough thing. So what are we doing to help these businesses that we're in partnership with stand firm when the shit hits the fan?
Gosh, dude. That's so true because, man, it is so easy to not stand firm. Especially when you feel like sales aren't up, you feel like especially with the content thing, right? And, I actually said it with Gabriel from To Bring About. I just interviewed him on Sunday, and I told him at some point in the interview, I said, he and I were talking about engagement online, and I said, what we often have to do is we also have to fight the algorithm. And bro, I kid you not, it stopped in my brain and it was weird. It was a mechanism that said, Michael, don't bitch about the algorithm again. Don't do it. Don't bitch about the algorithm. Don't. You know what you're going to sound like, and you're not going to be able to control yourself. And next thing you know, you're going to be editing this episode later, and you're going to find a 15-minute block where you wouldn't shut up about things you couldn't control again. And I was like, then I went like this. I said, but Gabriel, I'm not going to talk about the algorithm. We're not going to talk about the algorithm, all right? Because it's like, it haunts me. But that to make my point, like it is so easy to not stand firm. And I feel like that's why a lot of businesses, they just keep trying like things because they go, oh, we tried that. That didn't work. Oh, we tried that. That didn't work. That didn't work. Oh, this didn't work. Oh, well, that won't work because you tried it before.
Right.
And it's like, if you don't stand firm, you won't know what actually works and what actually doesn't. And because maybe your business had like the right idea, but you were preaching to the wrong crowd, right? And so,
or you didn't do it long enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you didn't do it long enough. So like, let's talk about that, right? So standing firm. I love this because this is like, it's funny how you read me the rest of Ephesians there with, so that on the day of evil, you can stand firm, because I feel like it's so often, it's like John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, and then we forget the rest, right? And then like, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then we just forget the rest.
And then what else?
I feel like though that almost feels like the word for 2025 for you, like you're helping businesses stand firm. So let's talk about that. What is that? Can you define that and then just maybe kind of give some examples of how you plan to execute that with your clients in 2025?
Yeah. Let me start with this. I was talking to here's another thing that's happened with armor marketing. We officially in December became the way that I say it is a white label asset for other marketing companies that don't offer video. We can offer video for that marketing company. So now they can go to their clients and offer more than just, so we got one right now that we're working with. And so I was having a conversation with them just yesterday and just asking them just some questions. Hey, things like, when you're talking to potential clients, like what are the things that you say that get their ears to perk up to go, hey, let's talk some more. And so it was really, really interesting what she said back to me. She said, It's funny because when we start talking about video online, people are like, well, let's talk some more. But then when it comes to the execution of, okay, they're, going to do brand strategy, going to do this, going to do that, it's like video tends to be the first thing to fall off. And I was like, so I was just literally just going, talk to me. I'm ignorant. I had no other agenda than just to hear what their perspective was. And so it was like, what it came down to is, it seems like in large part that people are afraid to be on camera. And that is true. It's true. I experience that a lot in what I do. People they're just afraid to be on camera. They're afraid to hear their voice. They're afraid to see their face. They're afraid they're going to sound stupid. There's all these things as to why I shouldn't do this, but it's in their mind. And so part of what we do is to go, wait a second, everybody can be on camera. Should everybody be? Okay, that's a whole nother topic.
No,
but everybody, right? But everybody can be on camera, and so we try to work with them through that. So so back to how are we helping businesses stand strong? So that's one thing. Video. I think the last time we were talking, I feel like I've said this a lot. It's video is what is big and it's the future. Video is now, and we're actually way into the video is really, really big. And so if you're not doing video, I mean, unfortunately, you're really behind when it comes to marketing. So that is really like, so we do graphics, we do photography. Most people are good with that because a lot of times it doesn't involve them, right? We can just create an infographic that talks about a promotion they have and we post it. Boom, done. If I need to do an interview with a CEO or get a sales director or a marketing director talking about specific things, that's when things start to get a little bit like, okay, I don't know that I can do this. And so we truly try to encourage everybody to say, you can do this. The information. People just want to hear you talk, be real. And I know I said this last time because it's still the name of the game. And it's even more so now, be authentic in what you're communicating or what you're talking about, and to help them really feel confident in that and push into that. Because the reality is this, they're going to talk about it anyway. Who cares if there's a camera there recording you or not? So it's just having those types of conversations to break down those barriers to get them to go, okay, you're right. And here's the reality. You care way more than anybody else. Just post the content, make the content, post the content. So that's one of the ways that we're helping people stand strong and not letting them back down just because things get hard, just because, hey, we put all this content out there and this one particular month, it didn't do as well as it did the month before. That's okay. Keep plugging along. Here's an interesting thing. And this is, I don't know. I'll just tell you and you can decide, everybody can decide for themselves. So one of our clients we were posting 2 times a day for them all week long. It was a bunch of content and it was greatly impacting their reachability and who they were being able to connect with. Well, about halfway through the year, things happened, things changed. They decided, hey, we're going to step back and really focus in on some specific things. Even through discussion, we were like, all right, look, you're the one in the driver's seat. Yeah, let's do it. Well, so now to be able to go back and look at 2024, the snapshot, like you can see where they cut their content in half. And it's a drastic change. It's a drastic drop in viewership, in reachability, because they had to take a step back. So we're also trying to get businesses to say, look, you got to do as much as you can, as quick as you can. So even if it's something small right now, that's fine, because you can always go up from there. And we're encouraging people to do that, not go the other way, because you'll see the effect both ways for sure. So, but it's really a lot about the mentality and just helping those, whoever it may be on the team that's going to be on camera. And some people have no issue with it, but the ones that we need to be on camera, and not everybody needs to be, right? I mean, we'll bring in talent and we'll give them a script and let them do it. But if we're going with the authenticity, there are certain people that just, you got to be on camera, and we're going to help make you comfortable and guide you in that direction. So I don't know. I said a lot about one
So
thing, but that's kind of really
yeah,
it. Like,
well, unpacking that too. Let's unpack that, man, because I think I've told everybody that I'm an ambivert, which means I can flick the extrovert switch, but really I recharge like an introvert. And before my podcast and business ownership days and stuff, I was anti-social media, didn't want my face online, didn't want my likeness anywhere. I took pride in the fact that when you did a Google search on me, maybe some old picture from me and the band would come up, but
yeah,
mostly it was just a bunch of old white dudes who are probably lawyers in Kentucky or Tennessee or something.
right.
And so for me to get on camera and actually like tell people about myself and all that, that was extremely difficult. And a lot of it
Sure.
was, I've talked about it before, toxic humility, where it is making oneself so low and so like, I don't like this. I have a lisp. My teeth are yellow. I'm not good at making eye contact.
Right.
I'm not well spoken. They have people really make it into this thing of like, I need to look like who I envision the perfect person on camera should be. And they almost create this archetype of a person that they are not, and so that's why they don't belong on camera. And I remember when I was with you, I was so conscious of like the lighting in certain parts, right? Like I was so conscious about what I was saying. And I remember we did that first shoot, and then you and the team sent back some edits, and I was like showing Stephanie, I was like, dang, I actually look smart. She's like, guess what, dude, you are that smart. Guess what, you are good at this. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're able to do. And guess what? Somebody's going to see that, and they're going to want to work with you. And the whole exercise of doing video with Armor was like this experience in building self-confidence. It also helped me grow. And one of our values, one of our immutable laws with VAS and KCBC is experiential learning, right? It is that idea that we will not learn and we will not grow unless we do, unless we have experience. And sometimes Gabriel and I, we talked about the reason why comedians get so good is because they bomb so many times on stage. And I think it's the same
Yeah.
way with business owners. Like we bomb so much, and like on camera, it's like, how many times are they stutter or they stumble or they say the wrong word or they transpose words, and it's hilarious, and everybody starts busting up on the set because they said something backwards. And
Right.
it's you're coaching them, you're helping them, you're building confidence, and you're like, it's okay. And you told me too, after the second shoot we did over at the new Kingdom Studios space, you're like, dude, this is going to be great. Or like just seeing you there behind the camera, nodding your head on certain parts. It's like, man,
Right.
you were literally helping me stand firm, or I was sitting down, I was sitting firm in who VAS is and who I am, and coming to the table. And when you can get the person who's reluctant to be on camera, but you see the greatness inside them, or you see how knowledgeable they are with their customers. Like imagine somebody walks into, your business and they go, oh my gosh, are you Danielle, the one who's on the commercial? I love that commercial. Like, and it's just
Yeah.
like,
Right.
geez, man, it's literally life changing when
Percent.
you're able to see yourself on
100%.
camera and it's edited and the music and the logo comes in. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and you've done that, by the way,
You
for
know,
so many business owners in our circle. It's like your impact, Armor's fingerprint on everything is just it's amazing, dude. So sorry, go ahead. I didn't
I
want to just keep
appreciate that.
ranting, but
No, no, no. No, I appreciate that, because it's good to hear that back, because that's what we try to do. That's we and here's where this comes from, which is what I was gonna say. So you're not cutting me off or anything. This is where it comes from. I was a full-time vocational pastor for 13 years, and I will never forget that there was one particular place that we were on staff at. We were children's pastors at the time, and we were putting together a team of people that were going to come help and volunteer with us. there was this one guy that wanted to be a part of it, like really bad. And I was reluctant. I was hesitant. What we all don't want to do. I made an early judgment call before I really knew a whole lot about him or what he was capable of. And so I kind of, didn't really, I guess the easy way to say it is I didn't value what he could bring in that moment. And I kind of pushed to the back burner, if you will. And there was a weekend that I don't even know how it came up, why it came up. Who knows? It could have been he needed to fill in. It could have been he was so persistent. I finally said, yeah, yes or whatever. But man, he got on the platform, and what he did to start teaching those kids, my mind just blew. I was like, what have I done? What have I been doing? Who am I to say that you aren't able to do these great things that you could do, especially if you want to do them? I didn't give you those gifts and talents. I didn't give you the ability to speak. I didn't give you the knowledge. I didn't give you the smarts. So who am I to say you can't do that? Ever since then, I've been a huge advocate of going, no. There's something inside of you. Even if you don't see it, let me see it in you and help draw that out of you, because we can all communicate. We all do communicate. And so that was a huge learning experience for me. And man, that guy carried us for a while. We ended up leaving that position and went on somewhere else. And he ended up continuing teaching those kids. And I'm like, what an impact that guy had on so many young lives. And so that's the same thing as a business owner, as a marketing director, as a sales director, I don't care what your title is. It doesn't matter. But how great of an impact can you have on other people if you will just share the knowledge that you have, the things that you've learned, your life experiences, and you never know who it's going to impact. So why in the world would you even say, I can't do this? Everybody can do it. You can absolutely do it. So, there's a thumbs up. Sorry about that. But did you see it?
I don't know. I
saw
it. Out of the corner of my eye.
Anyway, so I don't know. I think everybody has it in them, at least at some level. Are some people better at it than others? Who cares? It all goes back to authenticity. And if you're authentically you, then you're done. You made it. You're there. So,
and I just for some reason I'm thinking about Paul. I can't remember which book it's in, but he's talking about, don't you know that you're going to judge angels? And I feel like that has been the message, I think, that, Yahweh has been, God the Father's been trying to tell me my whole life is, I created you for a very specific purpose. And who are you to tell me that you're not qualified, right? I say you're qualified to do this. And
that's right.
And then also too, I can imagine, and we've talked about this before too. We talked about it on the last episode, but to work with Armor, you don't need to be a faith-based company. No. It's one of those things where I think, the one of the strengths of Armor is that the character by which you conduct yourselves, because you have a higher calling, right? Because you're held accountable by Jesus. It's like, that's the cool thing about working with faith-based business owners, is that there is going to be that integrity. And but going to that too of who are we to say that people aren't qualified for it or whatever? Let them show that too. And maybe sometimes too, there's just things that we learn only by trying and doing that, hey, maybe we're just not good at it, or maybe we need more work, or maybe we hate it so much we'll never do it again. I don't believe in forcing people to do things that we think that they should do, but building a safe environment to encourage people to step up and try it without fear, because that's the biggest thing too, is that fear, is that false evidence appearing real. I think is, maybe some pastor told me that at one point. That's the acronym for fear: false evidence appearing real.
It sounds like good sermon notes.
Bible is basic instructions before leaving Earth.
That's right.
I'm all about acronyms lately, man. I dropped the
Come on, baby.
media most effective devil in America. For some reason,
Yeah.
I'm all.
That basic instructions before leaving Earth, that was a whole song back in like the late 90s, early
Are you
2000s.
kidding me?
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
He said it
Yeah.
in the
Dude, no
chorus
kidding.
just like
It's
that. Man,
oh, he sang it, bro.
gonna link
I'll
that
have
in
to
the
find the
notes,
song
man.
and get it to you. Yeah, for
But
sure.
you know
Totally.
that, yeah.
But think about Moses. Moses, I mean, it was the same way. That's what he said. He was like, he was going before Pharaoh. And he was like, I can't do it. I can't go talk. He had a speech impediment. I can't do it. So God, okay, Aaron's going with you. Aaron's going to be the mouthpiece. That's not the way that God had intended it to be. So I think that's the thing is like, I don't know. God wants to use everyone where they're at and with what they have. And I get it. You might not believe in God. You might not have that relationship. And I understand that. And that's okay. But still, you never know when you sharing what you know may encourage somebody else to share what they know. And they've just been waiting, not wanting to, because they feel like everything has to be super polished. And I'm just telling you that's not the name of the game anymore. It's not. This isn't.
Absolutely. Talking about the name of the game, right? I see it. It's something that it's just there's a lot of it happening in the world about like the game and what people think they need to do to build traction in social media and the authenticity piece. It's so hard to look at, the number of views versus the number of likes and the response, and especially when business owners put like their whole heart into everything. What are some things that you've used in Armor Marketing to help get businesses through that rut or that thought pattern to try and focus on the right things? Because you even did it with me. Like we would have our check-ins and you would run down the numbers from, I think it was Sprout Social. You were going through VAS's engagement numbers and you were like, man, that's really good. I think it was on LinkedIn. Like my engagement was super high, but I was stuck in this whole mindset of, well, there's like 2 likes and one of them is my sister and she likes every freaking post.
Right.
Which, Leslie, shout out to you. I love you. I love how you're my biggest fan.
But that helps.
Right.
It all helps,
so,
right?
To go back to that, because I know you helped me, but like, how have you helped your clients kind of get into the mindset to focus on, metrics that matter and what matters and how they're progressing in the journey?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody obviously wants likes, everybody wants shares, everybody wants comments. And that is, I mean, going all the way back to the beginning of our conversation. Yeah. The algorithm likes those things. And that's the thing. Okay. Let's not complain about the algorithm. The algorithm is what it is. Okay. So what? So how do we let the algorithm work with us? And that you got to create and say the things and talk about the things that your audience wants to hear you say and talk about. And so the easy part for that is most business owners, or at least somebody on the team, if they don't understand who their audience is and what they want to hear, that is one thing that we also help with is the brand strategy. Who is your audience and what are the questions they're asking? So, it's asking a lot of questions, but going back to the metrics, that I think this was one thing that helps. I just don't think that most people know this, I would say, is that your engagement rate, if your engagement rate is 7%, that doesn't sound very high at all. 7%. You got to think about how much content is constantly going out every day, every hour, every minute across the world. And you're like, well, I'm going to make one post. It's like throwing a rock into the Grand Canyon trying to fill it up, right? So, but that's okay. 7% engagement, dude, you're hitting, like if you're getting 7%, you're doing good things. So I think just hearing that number from most people kind of helps let the guard down a little bit and go, okay, well, wait a minute. Not every single video has to hit. Not every single video has to be viral. Not every single video has to be shared 15 times. Not every single, whatever the case may be. It's just the constant. I'm taking what I know. I'm taking what I know my customers want to hear and see, and I'm going to put it out there in front of them. I know even for me as a, when I play consumer on social media platforms, I sit and I'll scroll a lot. I rarely comment. I'll share funny memes and things like that. But when it's good, sure, I'll like it. But here's the thing, and I've had people tell me this too, that I never see them comment, I never see them share or whatever. But they'll be like, "Oh man, we're keeping up with what you do, and like, man, what you're doing with Armor Marketing, and what you're doing, even in your personal life, man, it's awesome, it's great, it's cool." Here's the thing: it's putting the content out there. People are going to see it. They're going to see it. Just because they don't engage with it doesn't mean it hasn't impacted them. And then that's when all the back end stuff, you get into business and go, all right, well, when customers come in and they make a purchase, then we're going to ask them on the back end, how did you find out about us? And all that stuff is great and fine and dandy. But when it comes to organic content, it really is just about, let's just keep putting things out there that we know our clients want to hear. We know they want to see, because we've heard them ask these questions. So we're going to answer these, because if one person has a question, 1,000 other people are going to have the same question. So let's answer the questions. Let's put it out there. And the more you do that, and the more that your content is just rolling out there,
yeah,
people are going to see it. People are going to interact with it and engage with it. And so, I don't know. This is certainly a debatable topic, that's for sure.
100%.
It is 100% debatable.
But here's the thing. Here's the other thing that, it's occurring to me lately too, because, I'm in this chat with these other podcasters here in Kansas City, and we're talking about ways to bring more awareness to each other's local podcasts. And we're also starting to notice too that we're all engaging with each other's content. It's almost like an unofficial kind of like alliance thing, right? And it's like, I don't mean alliance like against anybody, but I mean like more like coming together and saying like, hey, look. And the one thing that's been coming up with all of us is, man, that person is consistent. Man, that person's content, it's like constantly coming out. I mean, I see a post a week. I see 3 posts a week. My feed always has something new, and they're consistent. I couldn't tell you what it's about. I couldn't tell you what who they are. But man, that bastard is consistent. And, and that's the thing. That's the other thing too, is that people always respect consistency. And man, when you keep seeing those ads,
who else respects consistency? The algorithm. I'm just saying, dude. Like we all hate the algorithm, but like if you can learn to play it, so what? Then who cares? Who cares about so what?
Well,
so what?
It's funny lately too. Like I've been building like a sort of package for, our sponsors with KCBC. And part of what I've started getting into is, it kind of sucks because I've got to go, into the different systems that don't talk to each other. And also I'm starting to evaluate like, what is the following of the person I'm going to have on the show? And then when we do a collaborator reel, all of a sudden, then I don't just have 434 followers. I have actually like, 20,000. Some of the guests we've had on this show, we had a guest who had 55,000 followers. And I remember the views during that time when we were doing collaborator reels, views were through the roof and likes were a lot higher than usual. But I have started to do that too, to say, not only is consistency amazing, but when you do these collaborations with other places, shout out to Beastified too, Sid. That dude will repost everything that everybody posts from that gym. He posts my stuff every damn day, the 100 gang. He, it's on the walls in that place. It says, here's how you do it. Take a video, put it on your Instagram, and tag at Beastified Gym as a collaborator. And he does it for everybody. And dude, their following is growing, their engagement. People have never walked into that place and they're asking me, so you go to that Beastified place? But it's just, again, it's the consistency that has been so huge for all the folks in our region. And it's really hard to get involved too when, you go to a person's page and the last post is from, 5 months ago. And again, I'm not trashing the business owners, that run their socials because
Yeah.
I know how hard it is. One of my
It's
pages
hard,
hasn't
man.
been updated in like 5 months, right? And because there's only so much, right? And it's tough, it's hard, but I mean that is again too. That's why I think there's so much benefit in what Armor does because the amount of
Dude.
content that you all are able to push out so that the business owner can focus on, enhancing their services, bringing in more customers, paying their
Yeah.
employees better, all of that, man. So,
Right. And I think, as a business owner, there is something to be like, we do it. Mostly what we produce is for organic, but not all. As a business owner, you're running a business at some level, you got to pay for some ads at some
tell
level.
us about that.
I
Yeah,
think,
what does
yeah,
that look like? Because that's what a lot of
yeah,
people, self-present company included, I'm very hesitant to
yeah.
boost a post or turn a thing into an ad. What's been your experience with that, man? Yeah.
So there's a couple different things. Boosting a post and creating an ad
Okay.
are two different things. They're kind of similar, but not entirely the same. Boosting a post would be something you've already created, you've put out there, it's doing well. Oh, or maybe it's not doing well, but maybe it may just be content that you want to get in front of specific folks. So you take one that's already been posted. I'm going to throw a few bucks at that.
Okay.
Target who I want it to be in front of,
Okay.
right? I'm
Got
the
it.
target. Now, an ad is similar, but it's more like we're creating this to be an ad. I'm not just going to post something and if it does well, then boost it. I'm creating this piece of content. I'm going to, when I upload it, I'm going to set the parameters on the target market that I want it to reach. And I'm going to set aside this many dollars for it to run this long. And this is the outcome that I hope to get from it. It's just a little bit different. You can do all the same things with boosting, almost all the same things with boosting, but for us at least, creating an ad for Facebook, like we're actually creating an ad. We
Right.
know it's going to be an ad, as opposed to boosting, but we'll do that too. Like, hey, this is performing well. You could throw, I don't know, $200 at this for the next 3 weeks or whatever the case may be, and get a little more traction out of it just because it's done well, but you want to get it in front of certain people.
That
So
makes sense. Thank you for breaking that down. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so I think business owners at some level, like organic is phenomenal. And like, right, you can't, I mean, unless you're Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, you can't put money behind every single post, especially at the level that we're creating, right? If you remember back to my last episode, maybe you didn't see it, but massive action is the name of the game, right? I already talked about our client that went from 2 posts a day to 1 post a day, and you see the dip.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is because massive action. I go back to Grant Cardone. He kind of changed my mind on some of this stuff and why Armor marketing is what it is today. But money follows attention. Like, you got to get the attention. Like, I follow him on X, and I remember him saying this, several years back. He's like, when people start getting annoyed because they're getting so much stuff from me, he's like, do you think we just stop sending them stuff? He's like, no, we send them more stuff. Like, okay. So, but he on X, like if you follow him on X, he's got posts all day long. And just today I was like, I need to quiet some stuff from Grant Cardone right now. But I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm the guy he's talking about. But that's the thing, the massive action. And I think, with a lot of times with the social media strategies and things like that, there's just not enough posts. And that's where we started with Film Creative. We just weren't doing enough posts for our clients. Grant Cardone changed the way I thought a little bit. We started Armor marketing, and now it's this massive action. Like, the more you do, like the minimum we'll do is every other day. Like, that's the minimum we'll do, which still is like, it's good for startups and things like that. But as you get going, like a post a day is great. If you can do more, that's where you should be. Do as many as you can, because organic just keeps you out there in front of people, right? When they go to bed, they see you. When they wake up, they see you. When they take a lunch break, they see you. Like, that's what you want. Whether they're engaging with it every single time or not, in some cases is irrelevant. It's just more about the exposure, and they're always seeing you, always seeing you, always seeing you. Now, if let's say you're a plumbing company and a pipe bust And they go, well, wait a second. I see this plumbing company all the time. Well, then, and they don't have a plumbing company? They're probably calling you.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's where you start to see the ROI. Sometimes it's hard to track, and that's okay. That's okay.
Absolutely.
That's, you know, people pay for marketing because they don't want to spend the energy. That's where we come in. We are the energy to help you do that.
So, you know, just to talk about technical stuff too. So like we know that TikTok will not be ending in the United States this month, right? I think, yeah.
Probably ever.
And so like TikTok is still huge, you know, YouTube, I'm still waiting for my gift cards, but you know, I was part of their little research group, and I answered some surveys back in December, you know, and they owe me $75, $75 gift card for some survey I did, because the question was, and you know, I don't know, their AI will probably pick up talking this, but you know, I was very adamant.
You'll get your gift card.
Well, I was very adamant that I thought it was BS that, you know, if I post shorts on my channel, that can hurt my views and stuff. And I remember when I first launched the KCBC YouTube channel, my shorts were doing amazing, because at that time, YouTube was investing in shorts. And you know, they do this, right? They flipped the switch, and there was like, when AI and, you know, back in early 2023, when there was just people making those faceless YouTube shorts channels, YouTube figured that out real quick, like, man, and they shut that shit off. And so I answered this survey about, like, basically I added some comments, and I hope a bunch of other creators did the same, because it's so exhausting thinking of the fact that, like, I need a channel for my clips, my shorts, and then I need one for the thing, you know, and like with KCBC TV, we launched Motherhood in America. And like how, you know, I want Stephanie to have shorts, but like, I don't want to kill her traction with her engagement. So we're talking about that. That is a long-winded way to ask you, bro, like, what are some trends with some of these bigger platforms that you've caught on to? What are maybe some tips and tricks that you've figured out is working, you know, for the engagement?
So, this TikTok isn't going away. And I have a belief right now, TikTok is probably never going away. And the reason why is it's creating too much money, and America's greedy. Period, end of story. I just think that's just my belief. I could eat my words in 6 months. That's just what I think. So no matter how you feel about TikTok, even still, posts on TikTok are just naturally, organically getting a lot of views, even if your video kind of sucks. Just to be honest with you. Seriously. So if you want to get some views kind of quick, like, start posting a bunch of stuff on TikTok. Like that is for real still a thing even right now. Currently, it probably gets more views than any other platform at the moment. I think you just gotta understand who's on TikTok. For a while, that's where all the young kids went to kind of get away from mom and dad, things like that. But now there's a lot of middle-aged folks, especially moms, that are on TikTok, either posting, they're influencers, they're looking for ideas and things like that. So it is certainly migrating that way as far as the demographic is concerned. I think LinkedIn is still an underutilized platform for most businesses. I think it's still a hidden gem. I think you got to use it the right way. But you can't use it like Instagram. You can't even really. I think it may be a little kind of like Facebook, but even in that, like, you still don't. You know, you got to make sure if you're using LinkedIn, you're doing it business. You want to be a little more professional for the most part. But I think it's still a hidden gem for most folks. And I think if you get on there and you are again, go back to the consistency, I think you can see some good stuff come out of LinkedIn. Because it's not.
I was just going to say, I have to pause on LinkedIn too, because you know me, I just couldn't stand it for a while. And one day,
I wasn't on it forever.
Well, one day, and for all I know, I've got I got to give you credit for this because I think you really were encouraging me with LinkedIn. But I did a quick view. You can see who follows you on LinkedIn, your page. And so Kansas City
Yep.
Business
Right.
Cast, I'm happy to say we are one of, a small handful of podcasts that actually have a presence on LinkedIn as well. So like I have KCBC on Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn, not because I like it, but because I wanted it to be in places that it wouldn't be otherwise. And the other thing too is like I've had guests on the show. I think they know what LinkedIn is, but they've never used it. They don't have a profile. And I love having a reel of those folks speaking on LinkedIn. The fact that somebody in a professional environment, because guess what? Professionals, they like weightlifting. They like musicians. They like podcasts. They like marketing specialists. They like creatives. They like people who have their own clothing brand. And if some of my guests, I'm not recommending they all get on LinkedIn, but I'm so proud to have maybe been the first person that ever posted about some of our guests on LinkedIn. I'm not saying previous guests owe me anything, but like I make sure I highlight that with them. Like the week of the episode, I say, hey, your stuff is getting posted to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And one person did tell me too, whoa, LinkedIn, that's awesome. And that's why, maybe that's what it was too. It kind of woke me out of my stupor. And, I thought about that because like, man, we got to be willing to go to the places where other people won't go, or they aren't.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. I would also say this too, like, don't be afraid. Like if you create a video, don't be afraid to put the same video on all the platforms.
That's what I do too.
I would say and this can help. And this can help. You might see some different results from different things. So I would recommend this too, and get AI involved, right? So we use AI to help us with some things. It's funny. We had somebody like look at our website and give us just kind of an off the cuff review, had no context, didn't know me, didn't know everything and anything really, and said they thought that we heavily used AI in our projects. So I'm like, okay, well, not heavily. We use it, to help us with some verbiage and things like that. But it's not like we're not creating AI videos over here. But so saying that, right. But we will come up with a post and go, okay, take this idea, this post that we made, and can you word it to where it would fit best on Facebook, where it will fit best on Instagram, where it will fit best on LinkedIn, where it fit best on TikTok, where all the platforms. And so it's the same content, it's the same video, but the wording is specific to the platform. And that has really we've seen some cool things come out of that.
Awesome.
And I don't know if people follow like what the CEO of Instagram says. Hashtags really aren't a thing anymore, especially on Instagram, because the AI is actually reading the copy of the post and using the copy within the post to build the algorithm. You don't have to have.
Well, what about people following hashtags though? I guess does it work for like the big name hashtags or the popular hashtags? Because some people do subscribe to hashtags. Like I think Cam had said that he subscribes to like puppy pictures or something like that. But like, they still work. But like, are you saying that, how is that hashtag versus copy thing? How does that work?
Yeah. So like, say I'm doing a post and it's, whatever the post may be, it's a shot of like Union Station or something, and I'm putting something in there like, hey, we're downtown or whatever, blah, 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 hashtag Kansas City. Like I could just say we are downtown at the Union Station in Kansas City, Missouri. Instagram is going to read that. I don't have to put hashtag Kansas City. The algorithm and AI built into Instagram reads every single word. So your entire post now matters. You want to make sure you're saying what you mean to say, because now it can push those things specific places, because that's what people want to hear. That's what people want to see. Maybe somebody is following that hashtag. It can still take that and put it in the category of it, and it doesn't have to actually have, let's date ourselves, the pound sign.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you. That was very insightful, dude. Okay. So that's helpful.
And that's just from the CEO of Instagram. That's not me telling you what I think. He
Right,
literally said that.
right, absolutely. What's your opinion on X, man? You said you're on X. What do you think X is good for?
I love X, man. I know people. My son and I were just talking about this last night. He's like, man, I struggle calling it X. Like, I want to call it
I
Twitter.
still
I'm
do
like, no, I get
sometimes,
it. I
but
totally get it.
I'm trying to be proper with
Yeah,
my
I think we
boy
do.
here,
And right? Yeah, no, me too. But I think that's part of why Elon changed it to X was because he was tired of Twitter. He's like,
Well,
let's X that
real
out of here,
quick
right? So
though, did you hear this? I heard this on Joe Rogan, and I think somebody said that Elon wanted to call something X for decades. And for whatever
probably.
reason, and if you think about it, you got SpaceX. I don't know the genesis of that name, but
Mm,
I think somebody said they talked to him and he wanted to call something X forever. And so,
that's probably true.
you
That's
know,
probably yeah.
he's an
What
eccentric,
I said is probably
but no,
you know.
I love that connection you made. Actually, it's X'd out. Like that's the first time I heard that. I did not give that witty line enough recognition, Phil. That was good. But
No,
no,
it's funny. That's what
you
I
and your
just thought.
son,
Like he was tired of the
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, so he was just saying like, man, I'm struggling to call it X, and I was
yeah,
like, that's okay. You don't call whatever you want. Who cares? It's still a platform. So I think it's good for information fast,
okay,
right? And that's what it's kind of always been good for. And I still think it is. Like, if you want things that kind of seem to be happening up to the minute on stuff, and like if you want to call it breaking news and
sure,
what have you, X is really, really still great for that because it's just a simple, quick format. There's not a lot to it. It's just a straight feed. And there are people on it that are updating things in real time. Grant Cardone's one of
yeah,
them. So it just depends on what vent you're on. But I mean, Elon's on there all the time. He's always posting.
yeah.
Charlie Kirk. I
I
mean,
really get confused about these guys too, and I'm kind of in the camp where people look at those guys and they go, "How do they have time to post this stuff all day?" And so let me ask you this, okay? I just want to be. This is funny. This just came to me, and you can shut it down. You can respond however. But say I come to Armor and I go, "Hey Phil, I want you to make me look like Elon. Like I want to post a tweet like every 5 minutes. Like, is that
yeah.
is that something that Armor could do? Like, when you're talking about the content battleground, are you able to make like the blitzkrieg of tweets? Like, do you guys have you guys ever implemented anything like that? I guess I don't know. I just asked you like three questions, but
So yeah. So not to the level of like every
uh-huh.
5 minutes, but yeah, if somebody wanted to amp up their presence and be like, I want you to post for me every single day on the hour, we absolutely could
Right,
do it.
right.
Absolutely could do it. It takes a lot of work across
Okay,
multiple veins of the business, but we could absolutely
okay.
do it for sure. And that's so and I've said Grant Cardone, a number of times, and it's just because I studied him for a little bit when I was putting together Armor Marketing, and he's an inspiration for some things. I don't subscribe to everything he says, but I do know this when it comes to his social media content. Yeah, he has a team that does it for him, but he doesn't. He still does things as well. So like the team is scheduling stuff, but he'll still jump on there and he'll do a lot of the stuff himself. And he's even said that. So that's kind of what we want to do too, is like we want to partner with, CEOs, and we're offering things now for personal branding, not just a business, but if you're a personal brand and you want to, you know, get your personal brand out there, like, yeah, and we encourage our businesses and everybody to do this. Like, yes, so you bought this membership. We're creating this amount of content for you. That shouldn't stop you from posting and interacting and engaging. Still do your things, along with what we're doing for you.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, we could certainly. I mean, look, if you wanted to post every 5 minutes and you wanted us to handle it, baby, we'd figure out a way to do it. I mean, it might cost you a little bit of
Yeah, for
cheddar,
sure.
but we're gonna make it
Yeah,
happen.
it's funny because like after I said that, I cringed in my brain. Probably grew another couple wrinkles because I was like, "That is such a stupid question, bro." I feel like when you talk about information fast, that X piece, I mean, it's good. I part of the reason too why it works for guys like Elon and Grant. You said Charlie Kirk is because these guys are people that also don't really have a whole lot of fear, and I think they're really
That's right.
used to actually being in environments where they got to drop a profound one-liner. And so the reason that it's like we were talking about the comedians, they bomb so much that, after several years, they just get so good, and they're just able to just pull this stuff out of nowhere because they speak
Yeah.
that language. And so again, just another commentary on, the more that you do it and you have that experiential learning, the better you're going to get at this stuff. And, the more that you flop and on camera, the more likely you are to improve and, getting those reps in, it's such a big deal,
Yeah.
man.
And you might look, here's the thing, and that's my goal for these people on camera is not to get rid of all the ums and ahs and whatever. That's not my goal. Like, you don't want to do it every other word, but it makes you human. And let's go back to what this thing is actually called. It's called social media. You're being social. We are socializing with each other. When you sit down and talk to somebody and I'm just normal, like we're talking right now, there's ums and whats and who's and that comes out of it just because it's part of normal conversation. So don't be afraid of that. Just be a real person and do that. And I think the other thing you kind of touched on a little bit is these guys that don't care. Like, when you can get to a place where you're so confident in what you do and what you're bringing and your approach that that no matter what you say, even if people don't agree with it, don't like it, that you don't care. And I don't mean you disregard your clients, you disregard your audience. You just don't like, I'm confident in this. This is what I know. And you can tell me I'm wrong and let's have a discussion. But I don't care. Like, let's do it. Let's talk about it. The more you can get to that, then I think the better off you'll be in being able to produce more content more quickly.
Dude,
Yep.
I so enjoy speaking with you. I'm so glad that we had this conversation, man. And
Same.
as I think about just knowing your journey as a business owner, and then the fact that you got so many reps in too before I met you, like that, I just feel so honored to have crossed paths with you in the season of life that I was in through a traumatic event, right? Like getting laid off. And then I'll be talking about this on another local podcast soon, but just the time when I was sitting at the table with you and Joe and all those other guys, and Joe's reading Motivation Manifesto, like looking at me while he's reading it.
Yeah.
Your journey and your personality, your character has had a profound impact on me. And I know that I am not the only person in our circle or in our city that would attest to that, dude. And so I just, again, I just want to say that because I will not keep company with folks that I wouldn't trust to run things for my business, or that I wouldn't trust to refer a family member to. And so often, and I think this is something hopefully people have recognized by now with KCBC as well, is that I only bring on people that I like talking to, I like learning about, I see them doing good work. And so dude, I just wish you all the more success in 2025.
Man.
And obviously we're going to do this again
Thanks,
too. We'll have
Michael.
you back on season
Yeah.
six,
Great.
7, wherever we got to
Awesome.
do it. Want to do these
Let's go.
check-ins.
Yeah.
All that to say, dude, like, is there anything that we didn't talk about, or something else that has come up during this conversation you want to kind of leave people with?
Yeah. I think this has been a big thing for me in the last several, and I don't know, I would say year, but even it's gotten pretty intense. Even in the last several months, is like there's all these, I want to say, right way to do things, right? Especially when it comes to marketing and it comes to business, and there are right ways to do things. So don't hear what I'm not saying, but at the same time, like, don't feel like you have to conform to all of the things all of the time, because that's just the quote unquote way to do it. It's the textbook way to do it. That's when you get into the rut of being just like the next business. You're just like every other business in your field. Like, get out there, do some things that are kind of off the cuff, do some things that may ruffle some feathers. So what? Who cares? If it's in your heart to do it, I mean, make sure you're not hurting anybody, obviously. But man, just go for it. Don't be afraid to do it. Just go for it. Absolutely go for it. So that's something that's been on my heart and mind lately. But I want to say this too, because I think a lot of that has ramped up from just our relationship, you and me, and how much I appreciate what you've seeded into me personally and Armor Marketing. And I know I've told you this on some of our phone calls. There legitimately been phone calls where just through the things that you have challenged me to think about and challenged me to see things differently, and you come with these ideas, it makes me emotional to go that there's somebody else in my corner that's on my team, that's part of my tribe, that cares about me and my success. And man, Michael, you're the real deal, dude. And I've appreciated every single conversation. I always look forward to them. And I just know that I'm going to get something out of each one of them, even if it may be just for that moment, just for that day. Like I walk away from every conversation going, man, that was so helpful. That was so, it changed a little, it may be big, but yeah, dude, it makes me emotional. So I appreciate you so much. Thanks for doing this cast, man. Everybody needs to hear it. Everybody needs to see it, especially if you're in the business space in Kansas City, entrepreneur, man, you have so many incredible conversations on here. And the questions you ask and just the information you pull out of people, dude, man, you're a pro. You're awesome. I'm glad I've been able to see it happen. And man, I'm excited for 2025 for KCBC,
man,
brother.
dude, thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah.
And you know what, too,
Yeah,
like you talking about that too, like being a part of the tribe. That was something too when you were helping VAS. We were building out our core values. And remember that day where I came in and I said, "No, we're going to call them immutable laws," because I read that Mike McCallowic's book, and I'm calling them immutable laws. And I was telling you too. I was asking Armor. I said, "What are your immutable laws?" Because we talked about core values. They're not aspirational. They're discovered. Like they actually exist. And that tribal strength piece, man, that is so big for me, man. And for us. Think about too, like how, I'm not trying to change the subject from your compliment either. Like I've received that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I thank you so much, bro.
Yeah.
But like,
Absolutely.
I've watched some of our guests start following each other on Instagram. And I know like there's some guests that have been on my show. They're going to be going on my buddy's show. And then there's some people that are on his show that are coming on this show for this season. And we're all like just building these connections. And I think what people are seeing through this, and I hope see in this conversation, is that we can see each other. We can see each other, the gifts that are in there. And man, if I guess if I need you and Stephanie and Rob and Gabriel and people like that in my life that need to shake me and wake me up out of my my not seeing my own greatness every once in a while for the rest of my life, then and that's cool. Like I've got the right people in my tribe. You know,
I'm
going to do the same
100%.
for you, man. So
100%.
man, my brother, I've so enjoyed this. We'll have our call on Tuesday because I don't have any conflicts. So we'll just keep it up, man. And all the best to you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you. Love you, buddy.
All right, everybody. So you heard it from the man himself. Go follow Armor Marketing. We'll have all of their socials in our show notes here. This might be the first time you're hearing it. If you are liking what KCBC is doing, we need to see it. Okay, so if you can subscribe, give us a rating. If you got an iPhone, you got an Apple ID. That means you can leave us a written review. Help us because that'll get us up in those search results, and the algorithm will start, helping us out a bit as well. Thank you all so much.